with emotion, two things that I wanted to say. The one thing is the emotion that will be associated with the season of spring is anger. Anger can express outwardly, so that's like physical violence, being passive aggressive. So when I say that, you know who you are. It's, being passive to evoke anger in others, which is an interesting one. And then the anger can also be inflicted in, so the emotion of shame as well,
So
self-denigration and the inner critic.
before we go there, because that's such an important piece what you said, but I just want to go back to the being
Yeah.
passive and invoking anger. So avoiding anger in others or avoiding conflict, is that what you mean there?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Or even just like like not texting back, like those kind of things, like not
Stop
doing
looking at
things
my.
that are more
Oh, get
passive.
out of my head, Steph! Like,
Yeah.
oh no, I've been
So,
seen,
so
pulled out.
so it can be like subtle forms, even like, gossiping, like just subtle forms of aggression it can be expressed outward. And then also in. So, and then what I've noticed in myself is that aggression can actually block creativity. So lately I've been working on this writing project and I'll be writing away and then the judgment or the inner critic will come and say, "Oh, that's stupid. Like, no, you can't say that," or "Who are you to be writing a book," or whatever. And that is like a big like depression. It prevents the movement of the creativity out, which ends up making me even more irritable and the anger almost multiplying.
This is an
So I've
important piece
noticed that in myself.
I'd really love to talk to, because I think you've got a lot of insight there, and this is taking the map from being the map and then landing in the terrain. There's a difference between like,
Hmm.
don't be angry at yourself, or like looking at the poster of TCM and liver is anger, and don't self-deprecate. Be like, instead be like,
Hmm.
yes, you can do it and be creative. I think when you get on the terrain, when you get it actually on the ground, it's a lot deeper than that, because I can see what is prevalent is people giving advice based on the map and going, don't listen to that inner critic, just go out and do you, and and then you that for me that ungrounds me if I ever listen to that advice, because I'm not following the thread of that self-deprecation and allowing it to alchemize into the creativity. I'm bypassing
Correct.
feeling and going,
I was
why
just
am I
going to say it's bypassing. Yeah.
yeah, why am I
Yeah. Not,
self-deprecating?
yeah. Just saying, oh, not so then it's like fighting fire with fire, right? If you're like, oh, but I'm so angry at that inner critic. Like, I'm just going to have aversion to that inner critic. Like, go away. I can do it. That's not at all what we want. What we want is to actually bring the hun. So I'm coming back to spirit, but we want to bring awareness, the hun, which we can also think is like those frontal parts of our brain, the benevolence. And this is another thing that the hun relates to is benevolence and kindness. You're going to bring that awareness down into the root of that inner critic, whether that's rooted in childhood trauma, whether that's rooted in a belief system that is maybe transgenerational or whatever. You're taking that light and you're shining it down. And what that's doing is it's marrying the hun and the po, which maybe we'll talk even more about when we get into the fall. But it's really important to bring in that spirit of compassion to the critic, which seems kind of counterintuitive.
Well, and yeah, look, I might just be putting my own process on here, but this is what we're here for, to learn. But is it
Mm-hmm.
from when I have experience what we're talking about, hun, here, going, coming down and looking at, say, like an emotion that is like, for me, I mean, my reaction is when I do something like, maybe not as prevalent now, but is like, ah, F, you're a piece of shit, like to myself, like like I can, like I know exactly what you're,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to avoid it and overcome it is something I've probably done. And then when I sit in it and I sit with a bird's eye view of hun, I go, well, maybe that's just maybe the quality, maybe it's just a poor quality statement. What's a more refined way that,
Mm-hmm.
especially when uniting with the earthly aspect, Po, and I go, what am I actually saying? It's like, hey, maybe you're just, it's like, oh, hey, maybe you're just striving a little bit too hard, or you're not staying within the purview of what you're interested in. You're trying to be an expert when you're not an expert. You're just you, and you're sharing your experience. That, and the
Mm-hmm.
quality increases, and that's when the alchemy can happen. I don't know if that fits in the world of your understanding of it.
Yeah, totally. And I would even add to that. I would say that that part of you that says that you're a piece of shit is actually trying to protect you and has been an aspect of protection. And that's, where anger comes in is anger protects. Anger protects because it wants to grow. What element wants to grow to what it needs? And so if you didn't get your needs met in the past, we have these parts of ourselves that are protecting. So to bring that spirit of compassion and be like, oh, I can really see that this part of me that's self-critical, this construct of myself was created so that I could survive middle school, or I could survive my extra critical father who I could never be good enough. And so that's that compassion piece. And I work with clients a lot with this work, internal family systems therapy, parts work, whatever you want to call it, and bringing that spirit of compassion to the different aspects of ourselves. And when we can do that, we also can have that compassion outwards.